Madam Speaker, the ANC is very grateful that we have finally reached this stage after 4 years of toil to present to the National Assembly a set of revised rules. Now, Honourable Speaker, we all know where it emanates from. First of all houses of parliament all over the world function in terms of rules of order and conduct. Rules are meant to guide members as to what the rules of political engagement are during all deliberations in the House, be it question sessions, be it plenaries, even in committees. In some jurisdictions, such as the United Kingdom, the House of Commons, for instance, operates on a very minimal set of rules. Why is that the case? That is so, Honourable Speaker, because the conduct of members are actually guided by parliamentary practice and convention, more so than by strict rules. It is just not acceptable for members to participate in a manner that does not build the democratic culture of some countries. In general, they have respect for their countries, the democratic institutions, and the electorate who gave the parties their respective mandates. They accept it. If one party wins an election, they have the right to set up the governing executive. Given our divisive past, we are acutely aware that in 1994, when this parliament was established, it was necessary to send a delegation. I think the Honourable Minister Khadepe was part of that delegation, to come and engage here in Parliament to see how certain rules could be developed so that once the new Parliament is inaugurated and members have been sworn in, they could actually have documents to guide the conduct of members in the House. Now, we have been told during this very lengthy process that they used the interim constitution as a point of departure, and then also used the previous Parliament's assembly rules as well as the Senate rules to draft the first NCOP and National Assembly rules for this House. Now, during that process, several rules were in fact elaborated on, well, after 1994. And I think the Honourable Chauhan needs a mention here, because there was a task team that in fact worked on the chapter on legislation. And because the Constitution is very extensive on how Parliament should process legislation, it was necessary for them to align that section with the Constitution. Some other ad hoc arrangements were made and changes were made. But somehow certain rules escaped scrutiny. And as we have today, as we stand here currently, we still have a rule, Rule 45.1, which reads, every member is to be uncovered when he or she enters or leaves the chamber or moves to any other part of the chamber during the debate, which is rather at odds with parliamentary practice, where we know we have people from different religions, we have our traditional headgear and all of that. So that one escaped. The Speaker of the Fourth Parliament then recommended that we should go through the rules extensively. And I think it's just very important, because when the first task team was established, we met for the first time in July, August 2012. And the task team was in fact expanded by the participation of the previous Ms. Sybil Seaton, who was a Member of Parliament for the IFP, as well as Mr. Mike Ellis, who participated very extensively. Honourable Callion is not here today, but she was part of that initial task team that was set up. The task team agreed on the following guiding principles. The rules had to be aligned with the Constitution and should stand the test of time. Irrespective of who wins an election, it must be a set of rules that allows the governing alliance or party to govern and the opposition to fulfill their role of scrutiny together with the other members of the National Assembly. Secondly, the rules should not regulate politics, but instead create an enabling environment to conduct politics. Thirdly, it should capture the best conventions and practices that we have established. And let us be honest, we have established good practices and conventions. And there is a lot written up on that score. And then lastly, we said the rules should promote the public image of Parliament. Little did we know then that we would find ourselves in a situation where people don't respect the rules. And even if we pass the rules today, we have a challenge on hand. Because if people did not respect the previous set of rules, which was in fact a good document for a period of more than 20 years, and we could operate somehow, we have no guarantee that the economic freedom fighters will in fact conduct themselves in accordance with a new set of rules, notwithstanding the fact that we have multi-party agreement on those. Just before the 2014 elections, task team concluded their work. At that stage, there was just not enough time to present to the Rules Committee and to the House. And therefore, a new subcommittee was established. Now, Chairperson, Honourable Speaker, I think what is important is that we have worked extensively. Altogether, we presented 10 draft sets of revised rules. And we wanted to bring everybody on board. We really wanted to make sure that it was a multi-party document and that we, in fact, give effect to the tenets of and the values of the Constitution. Because we're all aware of the powers and the obligations of this National Assembly. Now, what is important is that we have developed specific, very good, improved sections, and I just want to mention a few in passing. The Honourable Speaker has also referred to more regular and longer question sessions with the Executive. And if members are dissatisfied, we have the very clear rules on how long members of the Executive have an opportunity to answer, but there will be a record kept. And there will be regular liaison between the Office of the Speaker and the Leader of Government Business to see, are the members of the Executive in fact taking this Parliament seriously? Are they replying in due time, etc.? Secondly, as far as members are concerned, we have brought on board the Declaration of Private Interests. We have created clarity about procedure to raise a question of privilege. We have worked extensively on points of order because it has become a practice. Either members hop up and down on the basis of a point of order, which is completely not a point of order, and secondly, alternatively, they use a point of privilege. And a point of privilege is something completely different. And Honourable Speaker, I think we will have to workshop our members to make sure that they understand what the difference is. Then we have also, unfortunately, Honourable Natasha Mazzoni referred to that, had to bring on board a Rule 53.8 for the forceful removal of members. Now, that was a pity that we all had to agree to that. Now, Chair, I just want to say that the Honourable Ndakane referred to the issues raised by the DA. First of all, the sequence of proceedings. One of the breaking points in our Rules Committee on Tuesday was the sequence of proceedings. But what I fail to understand, Honourable Speaker, is the sequence of proceedings that we have now introduced is no different from what we see in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. What they have there is exactly what we have. The only matter that we brought in was swearing in of members. Here they have opportunity for prayers. You can check in your documentation. Announcements from the chair. We have that. Then motions. We have motions by the chief whip. Then orders of the day and notices of motion on the order paper, which shall be dealt with in sequence. Now, that's exactly what we have in the new version of the sequence of proceedings. Why the DA is now throwing their toys out of the cot on that one, we don't understand. Secondly, the Programming Committee. Honourable Speaker, the DA should be aware that in the provincial legislature or parliament here in the Western Cape, they have a so-called programming group. But that body is constituted on the basis of proportionality. Here, we have created a consensus decision-making body as programming is concerned, with a deadlock-breaking mechanism if no consensus is reached. And we all know about the case that was revisited in court. So clearly, as far as that is concerned, we're also far more democratic. And then lastly, Honourable Speaker, questions without notice to the executive. Now, you see, those are the questions, unscripted questions. Now, what we wanted to ascertain is how does it work in the provincial parliament of the Western Cape? Fact is, there's a session of 20 minutes. Members are putting in their names in a hat, and if you're lucky, your name is drawn. And if you happen to be the member of the opposition, and you come in at the tail end, what they do is they push the reply by the Premier out for longer than 20 minutes, so you just simply don't get your opportunity to pose a question which is unscripted. Secondly, there is no provision for any executive member to be posed an unscripted question. So now, our recommendation from the ANC to the DA is, first, get your own house in order in the Western Cape. Show us what you do and how you improve democratic participation there. Only then. Now, we have a very serious concern about the conduct of the Democratic Alliance here in the House. And let us be honest, even Tony Leon expressed his concern. And I want to just quote this, Honourable Speaker. The forces of opposition are at once familiar and very different. The DP's successor, the DA, holds the position of official opposition in an amalgam of the DP and NP. And then he moves on to say, Van Zyl Slabbert once warned that you can't out-Mau the Mau. Now, that is the first lesson which the DA needs to adapt to. You can't out-EFF the EFF. Find your soul as a constructive opposition party, as one which is patriotic, loyal to South Africa. Help us build institutions that will live and thrive long after this generation. Even the youngsters have passed through the doors of this house. So that is what we ask them. First, get your house in order, and then you can come and tell us what to do. Here, we rule with a 62%. In the Western Cape, you barely have 54% of the votes in the Western Cape. The ANC has 38% in the Western Cape.
Your time
so
has
please,
expired.
don't dictate to us. Thank you.